good afternoon, if you will. Well, it is here, and it's rather sunny and nice. I was sort of trying to explain to somebody how I see the sort of the potentially how the underlying physics, if you like, or the underlying creator of all of this, the underlying system is hidden from us, but there in everything we do, and potentially is accessible in certain conditions or under certain conditions. But we're so enchanted with the ego and all of the things that it can do that we don't pay attention to the underlying structure, architecture, and that the ego is programmed to defend itself at all costs. And while I was thinking about this, and there are a million analogies, I quite like Krishnamurti's analogy of the cinema and the screen, or the cinema screen, which is underlying the film that's being shown on the cinema, the film being the illusion or the architecture of the ego, but the screen is the thing that's always the same and never changes. And so you try to come up with different analogies, don't you? Well, I do. And I thought, imagine, if you will, you have a brand new phone, brand new smartphone, which comes with the default factory settings and all of the key functions that it requires in the background in order to deliver the things it ends up delivering. And that itself, per se, is not useful to the user. That would be the default setting of its system. Everything is constructed to run, and but doesn't actually do anything, if you like, functionally. But nevertheless, it's there. But then we start to download apps. WhatsApp, etc., etc., etc. Over time, we download lots and lots of apps. So now we can translate languages and find out what currencies are in different countries, and have AI and all these amazing functional things. All running, though, on the background architecture of the default factory settings. And so enchanted are we with the glimmer and technicolor gleam of the apps and their amazing functions that we never just go to the factory settings. Why would you? Because there's no apparent function there, and yet it's the thing that allows everything. The apps then are the parts that make up the ego, all the things we collect along the way, which eventually clog up the memory and make the phone run slower, and it eventually becomes obsolete. But the default factory setting that's running in the background, without which you would be able to put an app onto the machine, are always there and always the same, possibly being updated from the database that's from which it's created, but always there and always the same. And if you were to turn off all of your apps, then you would have the default factory setting, which would appear non-functional because you can't do much with it without the apps, and yet it is there and has a quality of its own. That's a sort of analogy, possibly not a very good one, but it was the analogy that was going through my head, that we are enamoured by the apps running on our system without bothering to check into the default mode factory settings and see what it's doing. Sadhguru sort of had a similar analogy, that we are all given this fantastic, incredible machine, you know, and it can do wonderful and marvellous things, and yet none of us bother to read the instruction manual. And the instruction manual is, using his analogy, would be going to the default factory settings, checking in, turning off the apps, and going to see what's in the default factory setting and what it does, what quality it has. That's sort of my thought for today. That we should maybe turn off our apps every now and again and just go to the default factory setting, at least for a while, so that you understand the system, and then you see the apps what they are. They're additional things that can be useful, can also be distracting, can also be destructive, and because they see themselves as the quality itself, will do almost anything to defend themselves against being deleted. No company wants their app to be taken off your phone, they want you to carry on using it. And so you will keep the app, either because you're promised some reward, given some supposed freedom, or they even threaten you. If you delete this app, then... So, that's my word for Sunday. The word for Sunday. Have a lovely rest of the weekend. Do something nice. Get out into nature. It's beautiful. I mean, even if it's not sunny where you are. And tune into the factory settings every now and again.